And it brings much honor and a privilege to me to once again introduce the head of our state to the podium. One of the things that I do, one of my most favorite quotes that I so enjoy reading, is the one by Helen Keller. And I tell you what, when she talks about what's worse than being blind, what's worse than being blind is having sight but no vision. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. And Governor, we thank you for leading the way. It's people like you that makes the difference in people's lives within our state, within our country, and wherever you go. We thank you for taking this charge, and we accept that call, a call to action. If you're in agreement with me and you're sitting here today, let's tell the governor today that we're not here just for the sake of being here, but we're about business. And if we're about business, I would like for you to do this for me today. And I want you to say to yourself, Governor, we answer the call. Let's say that. Governor, we answer the call. Governor, thank you so much for your leadership. Thank you so much for what you're doing. Let's give the governor a hand as he comes forward.
Thank you so much. I love it whenever you say that you enjoyed being on the committee. I've got more committees for you. We're going to make your life a lot of fun. Listen, this is exciting. I want to thank each of you for answering the call, for being here today. We don't do this lightly. As you know, those of you who were here 2 years ago, that we had an incredible summit that energized people, that motivated people, and that got people engaged, and we went to work. And for 2 years we've been working, but you'll notice we didn't have a summit last year because we were working. But I felt like that we needed to have the summit again, the second Restore Hope Summit, in order to re-energize, to renew hope, and also to acknowledge what has been done. And let me emphasize that I understand that when I became governor, that there were so many already working in the trenches. They were in there working in prison reentry programs, working through your faith-based institution and saying we need to do more for our foster children. And so I looked at what was being done, and I listened to you and said, yes, we need to do more. We need to do more. We need to expand the ministry. We need to expand the work and the opportunity. And we've done that. And so that's the whole purpose of this. There's a simple philosophy at work here today. And that philosophy is that there is a limitation on how much government can do. And that if we want to be successful in dealing with children and dealing with prison reentry programs and giving people a first chance and a second chance, it's not something the government can do. The government has a role to play, but we need your help because you not only try to solve problems, but you also minister to the hearts of individuals. And when you minister to the heart of an individual, you change lives. And that's what motivates you, that's what you want to do, and that's what helps bring success. This all began really 3 years ago as I was meeting with Lori Courier of The Call and others that were engaged in foster care. And I met in my campaign office, not knowing whether I'd be elected or not, but I heard the challenge that you faced with partnership with DHS in carrying out your mission. And I said, if I get elected governor, then I want to bring a summit together in order to address these challenges and expand the ministry and the opportunity. And we did that, but that was the foundation of it. And so we had our first summit. And the response to that first summit was extraordinary. We had a large crowd there, but we said we needed action. We needed more parents that are involved in foster care. And that was in August of 2015, and we had 1,300 foster homes at that time, 1,300. After we finished that summit, that number spiked to where it is 1,800 today. Give you all a round of applause. That is the response of the church, of the faith-based community, of nonprofit organizations. Two areas of focus is the foster care and the prison reentry. During that time, I recognized that the challenges that DHS faced was greater than we even anticipated, and that we were not doing everything that we needed to do, and so we enlisted the help of Paul Vincent, who came out of Alabama, and I'm glad he's a good Southern gentleman, and he knew the limitations of budgets, our senators and representatives over here, and he made 11 recommendations that we ought to do and implement in order to get better care, provide better care for our children that are in foster care and in need of state services. And we have worked on that diligently. First of all, he recommended that we have a coordinator out of the governor's office to help manage this. And Betty Goodman, I don't know if she's here today, but she took that mantle, did a great job with it. Phyllis Bell is doing that now, and we've already given Phyllis a round of applause, but she has helped coordinate this effort. Secondly, we have asked for and received historic funding by the Arkansas General Assembly. Now, let me tell you, I went to the General Assembly and said, we need $24 million for foster care for more caseworkers in our Division of Children's Services. And guess what? And first of all, it takes some courage to go ask for $24 million. But I went there and asked them, and it was unified. It was not any doubt about it. It was a recognition this is the right thing to do. They put $24 million in there, and we enhanced the number of caseworkers, those at DHS that are on the front line of dealing with children with challenges and putting them in the right place. It has reflected a DHS commitment from the leadership. Anytime you have success, it starts at the top, and it is driven every day by the leadership. And I want to compliment Cindy Gillespie, Keisha Smith, Misha Martin, and all of those at DHS leadership that has driven this mission every day. And Cindy comes in and says the war room is meeting. We're looking at the numbers. We're trying to break through the bureaucracy. We're doing all of this. And that's what it took, leadership every day. And then you pattern it after enlisting each of you in the community saying we're going to do more. We're going to solicit volunteers. We're going to be trained. We're going to go do all the hard work, the very hard work. But then we said we also need a more permanent structure to assist. And so we created the Restore Hope as an organization, as a nonprofit that would go into communities, enlist the support, provide the support that is needed and the training. Paul Chapman has provided the leadership in that way. And so because of all of this and your efforts, we have slowed the substantial growth in the number of children in foster care. The original projection that by August of 2017, we would have 5,800 children in the system. But because of work, because of your engagement, the actual number is 5,100. And so we have reduced what we expected to be the anticipated number of children in the system. That takes a lot of work, a lot of partners, and it is working. We've reduced the average number of cases from a statewide average of 28 per caseworker from the Division of Children's Services, 28 per caseworker, down to an average of 22 cases. That is because we have more people involved. We are trying to control and manage the number of children that go into the system. We have cut the number of overdue investigations from 721 down to 51. Is that not something? And you think about what it means to have an overdue investigation involving child welfare. That means children are at risk, and that's been reduced from 721 down to 51. We've reduced the number of children of 10 and younger who are in residential care from 105 a year ago to 41. We've placed 82% of the foster children in family-like settings. While we didn't reach the goal of 85%, that's up from 78% last August. Progress in every area that is being made, and I want to applaud the private sector as well as DHS and the partnership that has been forged to make this difference. we have placed 29% of all children with relatives, and that is up from 23%. And all of these are addressing recommendations from the Paul Vincent Report, which we have taken very seriously. And so, as governor, thank you. Thank you for what you have done. The other area that we wanted to engage is prison reentry. And this is an area of equal compassion for someone who comes out of prison. They've been out of society. They want to re-engage. They want to do what's right. They want to get a job, but they have every obstacle in the world. And I look out here and I see some of our employers going to be on the panels later and speak. Thank you, thank you, thank you for opening up the door to ex-offenders for employment. And likewise, because of increased funding, we've increased the number of parole officers. Why is that important? You think that's just a police activity. It's not. The parole officers help accountability, which is critically important, but they also make sure they have the opportunities and help that support them in being able to get a job, pointing them in the right direction, helping with the driver's license. We set up a system that before 45 days before they're released from prison, they are signed up for health care. Now, you think about what access to health care means when someone is coming out of prison. That takes one load off. It gives them access to something that is so vital that they care for. Sorry, Pastor. We'll take care of it. And Pastor Pointer, thank you again for opening up your facility. Thank you. And if anybody else does damage like that, I'll hold them accountable. We also created, and it's a little bit of a separate issue, but I wanted to mention it, the crisis stabilization units. Are you all familiar with those? But these are, we have a mental health problem, and where a law enforcement officer looks down the street and they see someone violating the law or getting in trouble or doing something they shouldn't do, and their only recourse is to bring them into the county jail. And they look at them, and even though they might not be trained, it's obvious to them and it's obvious to everybody else there's a mental health problem here. But we're filling up our county jails with those with mental health problems. Got other people in there, but that's a large part of it. And so we, based upon recommendation and study, created four crisis stabilization units across Arkansas that will train the police officers when they identify a mental health challenge. It might be a law challenge as well. Rather than putting them in the county jail, they're going to put them into a crisis stabilization center where they get the mental health treatment that they need. This is, hopefully, will make a real difference. It's a commitment of our communities. We're funding it with $5 million that we put into these. If they work, we'll see if we can't expand it, but it's a big investment for a much-needed problem. Whenever you look at the employment of those ex-offenders, 57% of parolees and probationers are employed full-time. 9% are in part-time jobs. 15% are on disability or are retired. They're out of the workforce. And so the unemployment rate among ex-offenders, parolees, is 18.2%. Now contrast that with our statewide unemployment rate of 3.4%, which is the lowest in the recorded history of Arkansas, by the way. And so people are working out there, and we need to continue to provide our ex-offenders with training, with opportunity, and to be able to put them back in the workforce. And so we want to reduce that unemployment rate among our ex-offenders, and that's one of our objectives today, and to remove those obstacles. If you look at one story of a convicted felon who successfully had taken part of the efforts that you're putting into it, Harold Allen is 57. He served 4 sentences in the Department of Correction. His crimes included aggravated robbery, and breaking and entering. He earned his GED while incarcerated. On the first day of this year, he entered the reentry program of Hidden Creek. On February 15, Fuller & Sons Hardware Store hired him for a full-time position. Harold has changed his life, turned it around. He graduated from the reentry program on July 19th. He kept his job, remained drug-free. He's making positive connections with his family. One of the most important milestones that he passed is his driver's test. He had not had a driver's license for 30 years. And so Harold regularly visits Hidden Creek Reentry Facility to share his experiences, to encourage other residents. That's the type of difference your engagement can make on the front end with children, on the backside of giving people a second chance. So I'm here today to say thank you for what you've done. We're going to spend today working on this, hearing from a lot of good people, getting information and inspiration. Tomorrow we'll shift a little bit on the child welfare side. We'll conclude. We got a reception tonight. I'm going to be over here taking notes some and listening. I'll sneak out a little bit to take care of a few things, but I'll be in and out. This is important. Glad our legislators here. Glad our attorney general's here. Pastor, thank you again. I'm looking forward to really an exciting afternoon and tomorrow morning. Thank you very much.